All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. We are live early in the morning on a Thursday morning instead of a Tuesday because we have a very special conversation to bring to you today. I am so very excited to present this guest. But first, if you're watching, you probably need to know who I am. So, welcome and thanks for joining us for LaunchCrate live from home on this very special day. I am Cynthia C.L. Fales, the founder of LaunchCrate Publishing, and just another eager reader today as I get to bring on our very special guest who is releasing a special book today. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her in. And while I do this, make sure that you tell us who you are, where you're watching from. Drop that in the comments for us and chat with us because I love to make sure that the questions that you have get answered. So here is our special guest for today. Miss Heather, how are you?
I am so great, Cynthia. And can we just for 1 second talk about your amazing intro video?
Thank you.
What? I need the whole down low on that because I covet it. So I'm just gonna say that.
Awesome.
I'm great. It's book launch day.
Absolutely.
I feel like I've actually given birth 4 times, and now I feel like I've given birth 5 times.
I love it. I love it. It never gets old, right? Every time
It
a new book
never
is
does.
released, it's the same feeling all over again.
The same feeling. It is so exciting, and it is so much work, but there's so much reward. And I told someone just yesterday, like, I am hopeful that today is amazing and that we get bestseller in all sorts of categories on Amazon. But I am celebrating either way because I did the thing.
Absolutely. That's absolutely worth celebrating as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay,
Thanks.
well, I know a little bit about you, but I'm not sure that those who are tuning in necessarily do. So, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, of course. Hi, everybody. I am Heather Vickery. I am a success and leadership coach. I'm the executive producer and host of the Brave Files podcast. And I'm a speaker, an author. As you've already heard, I'm a single mom of 4, and Brave is my business. My goal, my mission, my vision is to help folks all across the globe embrace this almost revolutionary idea of everyday brave, of choosing to thoughtfully and intentionally face our fears, take them apart, get to learn them, and then leverage that knowledge into intentional bravery. Because what we know for sure, not just because we think it, but because science proves it and because we see it over and over again, is that when we choose bravely on purpose, thoughtfully, and intentionally, we choose bigger, we win bigger, and it's contagious.
Absolutely. I love the intentionality behind
Oh my
this.
gosh.
Yeah, that's so powerful once we
Yeah.
can make that shift. So let's talk about this newest book release. You've released some other books. Let's share what those are first.
Yeah,
And
sure. I actually have them here.
okay.
So my first 2 books are gratitude journals. So they are books, they're very short books, and then they accompany a 180-day guided gratitude journal. So the first one I released was called Shift Your Focus, and it's
Mhm.
geared towards adults. And the book part, I talk about, why is gratitude important, the science behind it, my personal story with it. And then I feature all sorts of quotes. I love quotes. So from famous people, but also thought leaders, industry leaders. And it's a guided journal because I don't like a blank journal. Personally, this is not my jam.
Mhm.
And then there's a unique question, 180 different unique questions to make you think about gratitude in a way that you wouldn't otherwise. So this one I just opened was, what compliment did you receive today? How often do we stop to think about that, right? So I wrote this, and as soon as it came out, and people were really excited about it, and it was really fun. It wasn't quite as exciting as this one, just because this took a lot more work,
Yeah.
but it was very exciting. People started asking if they could use it with their kids, and they could, but it was really, the quotes were geared towards and the questions were geared towards adults.
Mhm.
And so I took that to heart. I listened to my audience and what they were looking for. And I started doing market research and focus groups with parents, with kids, asking parents to talk to their kids. What did they think gratitude meant? How did it make them feel? And created Grow Grateful, which is a gratitude journal for kids and families. There's some additional content on here because I learned a lot from these kids. Our kids amaze me. They
Yeah.
just amaze me. And I even added a new section, which was how do you express gratitude? Because one spectacular 11-year-old said to her mom, well, Mom, I think feeling gratitude and expressing gratitude are two different things. And she's right? One is internal and one is external.
Mm-hmm.
And so the quotes in this book are all from little kids ages like 2 to 18. So, I'll just pick one. I love this. Cyrus is 5. Gratitude is saying thank you or I'm sorry. It's being nice. When someone shows me gratitude, I feel good because it means I did a nice thing for them. Right.
That's awesome.
So those are fun, and use them and enjoy them with your kids. Give them as gifts because gratitude is the number one scientifically proven way to increase overall happiness, joy, and well-being while decreasing stress, anxiety, and depression. So we'll get it. We do talk about gratitude in the book. Of course we do.
I love that. I started this year out with a joy jar. I think it's behind me.
Oh, I love a joy jar.
This was just through like the first week of February. So I started running out of room. I was like, oh gosh. Yeah. I need to get back on it. But yeah, absolutely. I felt so much joy as the year started. So there's absolutely a lot of validity in that, right?
Yeah, so much.
Goodness gracious. So we've talked about your first 2 books, your 2 journals, your guided journals. And there's a book that's hanging out over your shoulder there that we're going to talk about today. This is the book that's being released today.
Yes, it's out today. And so I'm going to say the title, and I have to laugh because Cynthia's like, I can't say that word because my mom might watch. And I won't retell the whole story, but my mom and I had to have a whole conversation about it too. The book is called F Fearless. It is mostly spelled out. There's an asterisk. F Fearless, Making the Brave Leap. And yes, it's making a big, bold statement. And yes, that was intentional and by design, because society sells us this BS story that in order to be really successful or to be a great leader, you have to be fearless. And folks, that's just not true. We are human beings. We feel fear. We feel all sorts of different fear. Sometimes I feel scared about as many as 10 different things in an hour. It just depends, right? So what feels brave to Cynthia may very likely feel completely fine for me. What feels brave for me may be challenging for you, or easy for you. It could be anything. And again, this idea of revolutionizing everyday brave, it's really magical to see when we start to go, oh, I'm going to acknowledge that this thing now feels brave. And then you do it. It also stimulates your parasympathetic nervous system. It also makes you feel in control and more happy and joy-filled and ready. That builds that momentum train. And I, as a coach, I have a method. It's called the Brave Method. And the Brave Method is a creative, strategic approach to problem solving, designing, creating, and building a life and a business that you love, like that you love, that feels like it's yours. It doesn't mean that every day is great. It doesn't mean you don't have hard times or feel mad or sad or angry or stuck or frustrated. It doesn't mean any of those things, because we do feel those things all the time. And my work and what we share in this book is really about honoring that, digging in. I call it a little bit like, it's a little bit like bunny foo-foo. You can't go over it. You can't go under it. You got to go through it. And if you brush all of those feelings under the rug and you pretend that they don't exist, you're not going to get where you want to go. Right. And it's not going to feel good either. Right. Yep. So BRAVE is an acronym in the book, and it stands for boundaries, reassessment, reframing, resilience. I call those the 3 R's. I think they're my favorite. Action and accountability, vulnerability, and then expand and empower. And those first 4 letters, those first 4 steps, they mix and match, they intermingle. You're going to use them in all sorts of different orders, whatever calls to you, whatever your heart, your soul, your life, your business needs from you then. But when you use them, when you are thoughtful and intentional about going through these steps, the result is that 5th letter. It's the expand and empower. And I just want to speak to that for 1 second, because this is my favorite part. That's inside work, folks. No one can do the expanding and empowering but you. No one empowers you but you. You do that for yourself when you choose to do the darn thing, when you show
Absolutely.
up and you set boundaries and you reassess and you say yes or you say no or whatever it is that you need that day. You decide to rest or you decide to push yourself. That's how you empower yourself.
Whew, that's powerful. It's
Thank
very
you.
powerful. Okay, so F, fearless. Let's go back, and I'm gonna ask you to imagine that I lost all my memory and explain this concept of fear to me. How would you define fear?
It's a really, really great question. I'm going to define it in a way that you all may have never heard it before. Um, Fear is this natural human emotion that we all experience. And it's mostly mental because physiologically, it's the exact same way we feel as excitement. But we attach thoughts and emotions to this feeling that make us afraid for whatever reason to show up. But fear is there to serve you. Fear is your friend. It really is. It's telling you something. So figure out what. Take it apart and dig in. I mean, sometimes the scariest thing is facing those and learning what am I actually afraid of. It's not usually that first thing you think you're afraid of.
Right.
And then using that knowledge to your betterment, to your greater good. That's what
Whew.
fear is.
I love that you said fear is something that's there to serve us. That's not something that we usually think about when we start to experience fear, right?
Yeah.
But it's the leaning in and the doing things through that fear, making that brave leap intentionally, um, where we learn the most about ourselves and where we start to grow.
Absolutely.
I
It
love
it is. It's that very first step, that very first piece of awareness.
it.
Yeah.
So awesome. Okay. Tell me a little bit about what inspired this book.
Thank you for asking that question. So this book has been in the making for a long time. The Brave Method is a result of my own lived experience. After a decade of, and this has been many years ago now, but after a decade of marriage and 4 kids, I finally came out of the closet
Mhm.
and I got a divorce and I closed a very successful event planning business that I'd run for a very long time. And I took this brave leap myself. Now, I didn't know at the time that I was following all of these steps. I didn't, it was years later when I was coaching and speaking and leaning in that I'm like, oh, these are the things that I did that really got me through. And I
Mhm.
started to quantify them and organize them. And acronyms are so much fun and brave is my business. So um, I did this. This is what saved my life. This is what gave me my life back. And again, it doesn't mean every day is great, but I can tell you this. My worst day now is 1,000 times better than my best day then.
Whew, that's powerful. So
Yeah.
powerful. There's something to be said about taking a leap of faith, isn't there?
There really is. And it's not an easy thing to do.
Mhm.
But I want to just, again, these don't have to be big, grand things. That's
Mhm.
really what I want to get across is this choosing bravely can be a small thing to you, or maybe it feels like a big thing. I have a super fan listener of the Brave Files podcast, and he has a wheelchair, he's got CP, and he loves to remind me that everything he does feels gargantuanly brave to him.
Yeah.
Like it feels like a big deal. And I so appreciate that he always puts that in perspective. But so things that feel simple for us, um, like, reading, he struggles to read, right? So he's
Mhm.
like, if I read a text message, that's brave for me. He gets to
Yeah.
define it that way. Um, but yeah, it doesn't have to be big, but it does create such intense shift.
Mhm. Absolutely. Okay. So I know a little bit about the book and how it's set up because I had a special little preview. And you all should be jealous of me because this is a very powerful book. And it's going to make some incredible ripples in the world. Um, in your mind, Heather, what makes this book special?
Oh, man, that's a hard question. I've like poured my whole heart into this book and I'm all out there. There's a lot of personal stuff in here. I tell a lot of personal stories. But I think they're good and they're funny. I said this book is really for anyone who wants to play bigger as long as they like curse words and lesbians. But what I think makes this book special is that I chose to very thoughtfully include, I call them brave spotlights. And I couldn't possibly feature all of the amazing clients I've had or all of the podcast guests, but I handpicked a few to share as brave spotlights, people that I see doing really incredible representation of what this work is. And so I'm able to give everyone who reads a glimpse into what this looks like in real life every day and how they could imagine it for themselves. And we've taken all of these concepts and we've shown unusual ways in, not the obvious way in, not the way you think you're going to do it, but a surprise way, like, oh, I've never thought of using it like that. And then there's also brave action. So you get to go in. It says, now you go try this. And I don't make promises very often, Cynthia, and I certainly don't make promises that I can't keep. But I promise every reader of this book that if you do the brave action, you will create shift and change in your life, and it will be wonderful. What it will be, I do not know. How much it will be, I do not know, but it will happen for you because it does work.
Well, even small changes, add up
Absolutely.
over time.
Big time. Actually, all change. I mean, they're all small changes, aren't they? Like,
Absolutely.
we don't ever just wake up one day and do massive major things. There are a slew of smaller things that got us there. I would say
Absolutely.
that success happens overnight, over 10,000 nights.
Right. I love that. Success happens overnight, over 10,000 nights.
Yes.
So awesome. Okay. Goodness gracious. I'm looking at how fast this conversation is rolling along, and I want to make sure that we save time to get to what makes this show so unique, and that is the opportunity for us to create a short story together.
I love it. I love
Are
it
you
so
are you
much.
ready for this?
I'm so ready.
Okay, let's see how we do. Let me see if I can share this screen so that you can see. Um, and those of you that are tuning in, what you're about to see are 9 story cubes. And the story cubes that you'll see, we are going to use to create a short story together. Can you see that okay?
Yeah, I can see it. Can everyone else see it?
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Okay. So we'll use these cubes one at a time, Heather. We can start in any order. We'll use one cube, add as many or as few details as you'd like to. And then when you pause, I'll grab a random cube. Metaphorically speaking, of course, I can't grab it from the screen. And I'll add to the story where you left off, and then we'll piggyback back and forth until the story is complete. The only caveat that I have is that you get us started with the old cliche, once upon a time, and you can start anywhere that you
Okay.
want.
Wow. All right. Once upon a time, I dreamed of not being afraid.
Ooh. In that dream, I felt powerful and full of life. And I felt as though I were a flower just beginning to bloom into my own.
But then I said, hey, wait, stop. Wait a minute. You're never going to not be afraid. Instead, what if you decided to face those fears and build the life that you want instead of the one that you thought somebody else wanted you to have?
Oh no.
It's not as easy as it looks, friends.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So I leaned harder and harder into that concept in my dream. And just as I was starting to ponder the answer to that question, my phone rang in the real world and it woke me up. And when I answered it, on the other end was a friend with a very similar message. And they said,
Let's take a walk. There's this bridge I know. And every time I walk over it and I stop and I pause and I look at the water flowing below it, I find inspiration and connection. And maybe that'll help give you just a little bit more strength and courage to say yes to what you want in your life.
so I agreed to go on this walk with my friend and ended our call. I met them at the bridge and we walked just to the apex of the bridge and watched the water rushing beneath it and had a chit chat about all that's going on in our lives. And the two of us continued to walk onto the other side of the bridge and off into the woods where we discovered a very unique tree that was growing by itself. And this tree seemed to have all of the answers to life's problems. I'm not sure how, but it was a unique tree, just as I said.
And that unique tree really resonated with me. I thought, oh my goodness, what is possible? What is possible if I decide to embrace all of those fears? What is possible if I decide that I'm worthy of speaking up and taking up space and asking for what I want? And I trust the people around me to hold space for me and love me. What is possible?
Just pondering that question and all the answers to it. My face filled with hope because I knew that the answer was going to spring me forward into one event after another event after another event, which would help to fill my life with joy.
And that joy led to something even more spectacular. It was through that experience that I recognized how fully and unabashedly I was loved.
Awesome.
Man, that's hard.
I feel like we should clap for ourselves.
I think
fantastic.
we should, y'all. I have a group coaching program called Intentionally Brave Entrepreneurs, and they all get flags that say "Yay me," and I think we both need "Yay
I love
me"
it.
flags.
Yes, we do. I feel like I should ring this cowbell that's behind me over here. That
Ring
was
it.
awesome. So awesome. Okay, so this is not an easy thing to do. How do you feel about this process?
I liked it. I think it really forces you to get creative. I had a topic because we're here to talk about my book, but it would be fun to do and just assign random topics to people in like a work group situation, or it'd be fun. I have to go look for them now. Maybe I'll use them in my group program. Thank you, Val. Val's giving us the love that we clearly really want from all
We
of you.
needed that, Val. Thank you.
Please tell us we did a good job.
I never know how these stories are received. Heather, you were so fantastic in this storytelling. I can't believe you've never done this before.
I have not, but I am a storyteller. You learn to be a
Absolutely.
podcaster and speaker. We tell a lot of stories.
Right. Okay. We're coming up on time for us. And I want, gosh, how do I want to do this? There's a couple different ways, a couple of creative ways I could do this. Think about what your, let's say, 1-minute elevator pitch would be for this new book and what it is, why someone needs it, and how they would benefit from it. How can you wrap all of that up in 1 minute? Good luck. That's a lot to do.
The world deserves you to play big. And if you feel like you're stuck in a rut or you're not the one in control of your life, grab your copy of F Fearless Making the Brave Leap. There are bite-sized actionable steps to get you in motion right now and to make you feel part of a larger community of people who are revolutionizing this notion of choosing everyday brave. It's your time.
I think that was like 30 seconds. That was fantastic.
No. You want to keep talking? I don't know. I either do it really short or really long.
Yep, that's me. Okay. So we have a lot of writers who check in and to our LaunchCrate Live from homes. If you could leave a word of advice to someone who has a story on their heart, what would that be?
My friend, just write it down. Stop overthinking it. Don't worry about the editing process. Don't worry about whether somebody's going to like it or read it or share it. Get your story out. And even if you just sit with it for a minute after it's out, that's okay. It'll be there. It will have served you, and you can go back to it when you're ready. But start small. Set yourself maybe a 15-minute writing window every day for a week and see how that feels. And you might find like, oh, I'm in a groove. I'm going to do more than 15 minutes and make small. I talk about this in the book, small bite-sized commitments that are achievable, because when we can check those things off and we feel good, then we make bigger commitments and we make more commitments. So just write small time increment commitments.
I love it. Go get her book, F Fearless, Making the Brave Leap. Read that. Plan out your small incremental 15 minutes to write.
Yes.
And get it done. Heather, where can they find your book?
Absolutely. You can get the book on Amazon and you can get it on Bookshop. You should be able, there's an e-version and a hardback version. You should be able to order it through a local independent bookstore. If you're an independent bookstore person, they will probably have to order it in unless they've already figured out it's fabulous, but it's the day one. So, but if you want it right now, head over to Amazon. If you're an e-reader, you'll have it in seconds. So.
Awesome. Can we put the link to your website that has all of that in the comments?
Yes.
Can I add that? Okay. I'll see if I can pin that in there for everybody. And thank you so much for joining me for this quick conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really, really fun. What a fun way to start off my book release day. Thank you. And thanks to everyone who watched. And if you're going to try the book, I appreciate you. I'm super grateful to share it with you.
Absolutely. So if you pick up that book, make sure that you leave a review. Those are really important for folks who are trying to decide whether or not this is a good book for them. And go get it today. Don't wait. Start now. Be intentional. Baby steps so that we can start to make bigger leaps. And F fearless. We're going to make some brave leaps, right?
Yes, we are. Let's do it together. It's way more fun when we do it together.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Cynthia.
This has been a lot of fun. All right, you all, if you found at least one nugget of wisdom in this conversation that we had today, make sure that you like it, make sure that you share it with others, and encourage them to go get this book as well. Again, I think it's going to make some tremendous ripples. And I already checked out yesterday. For your categories, you were like in the top 10 new release. Where is it now? Do you know?
Trying to get I know. I'm actually really trying not to like mad stop it
Yeah.
today. Not to not look, but not to look constantly.
Constantly, yeah.
So how are we doing today?
Let's look it up. Okay, I'm gonna see.
We're doing okay. I think there's a real possibility of making bestseller and sustainable business development. We'll see. There are 9 categories. It doesn't show them all, but it's creeping up. It's creeping up.
I love it. Okay.
Amazon is weird like that. I'll tell you all that really quickly.
It definitely is. Yeah.
You only get bestseller if you sell a mass quantity in a 24-hour period, which is why we're saying go buy it today.
Go get it now.
Because it does help me. So thanks.
You got it. All right. Again, you all like, comment, share. We're going to post that link so that you can go get it, so that you have quick access to get it. You can download it on Kindle today, or you can get the hard copy in your hands in just a couple of days. Awesome. Heather, thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Y'all have a good one.